His name is Mace Windu. He's a special boy with a purple lightsaber. And he's kind of a systematic problem of the Jedi Council. Personified? No? You're not buying that?
No.
You're not buying it? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Atomic Mass Transmissions Live. As in, I'm making it up on the fly. Today we're paying up Mace Windu, Josh's favorite Jedi. And I'm going to discuss everything I know about this guy. For Shatterpoint, we're going to go over some different skin tones and how to achieve different skin tones, which is very important. There's a million and one beautiful skin tones out there, and you should learn how to paint all of them. And there's no way to really mess them up because they're all pretty. So I'm just going to make some stuff up. I have a bunch of different colors on the palette, including brick red. Very important when you're painting human flesh tones, unless they're, corpsey human flesh tones. And you probably don't want that. You want more of a purple, but we're going to save the purple for the lightsabers. So let's kick it to the minicam. And let's paint Mace Windu. I'm so excited to paint this. I have a bunch of different colors out here. And I'm just going to start picking some colors. I got some nice, cool browns. I got a warm brown. I got this, green brown. I got a peach color. I got a brick red. I got this real dark burnt umber. Also have some green. If you watched any of our streams, we definitely talk a lot about using green in human skin tone, and it doesn't matter how dark or light your human skin tone you want to paint is. That green is super important, and we'll get into why. Also got some blues and stuff and black and white. Always get black and white. Magenta is more important than red. Magenta is the true primary color, not red. Not red. Scientifically, you can't see magenta. You only perceive magenta because you can't understand what it is. So it's actually confusing of the eye between blue and red, and it makes magenta because your eye can't actually perceive it. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I'm gonna need to know more about that. What does that mean?
Wikipedia. No, seriously, like primary color is the color that can't be mixed, but magenta truly can't be mixed because that just doesn't exist. It's your eye confusing a variation between blue and red that makes magenta. It's literally manufactured in your noggin.
It's all in our heads, man.
I mean, reality.
It's all in our heads.
Reality, man. Reality. Yeah, there's some fascinating color theory and science behind the color magenta. Maybe that's why it's my favorite, because it's such a weird... Magenta and purple are my favorite colors. It used to be black, but I got over that phase of my life.
But now you know the truth.
Now I know the truth about magenta. It opened my eye. All right, so I actually asked Josh to send me a reference. I was like, send me the perfect skin tone reference for one Mace Windu. And we're just going to make it up. I'm just going to mix up some colors. Does he wear gloves? I can't remember. Quick, whoever's watching and listening to this nonsense. I feel like, does he wear gloves? I'm putting fingers.
I guess that's me. Give me 1 second. I'll figure it out.
So very much Josh sent a picture from, it looks like episode 2.
He does not.
He does not wear gloves. I'm doing a nice thin layer. First layer don't count. Look at that mean mug. This man is ready to arrest a duly elected senator of the Galactic Republic.
Can you talk to us about how we landed on this pose?
Oh, sure. Oh, black fingerless gloves. Oh.
I I'm not seeing that in any of these photos.
That's what Josh is saying. There is a little line sculpted there, so I like the black fingerless gloves though.
Listen, go with it.
It's more cool, I guess. We'll do black fingers. It doesn't matter. I put a layer of paint on there. Literally doesn't matter. You fix it in post. The pose? Trying to remember when I think we did like 8 different pose sketches for Mace Windu. It was a lot. But really Mace is, he's a badass. And, you wanted something that just showed strength and power, but also wasn't super, flippy dippy, right? He's not doing cartwheels, He's a more stable fighter. So wanted something to capture that. We looked at a lot of samurai fighting poses, and you kind of go back and you watch a bunch of the scenes again, even though you've watched them a million times. When you watch them for intent of one thing, you start picking up stuff that you've never picked up on before. So there was a bunch of that, and I think we just kind of landed on this like nice solid strike, right? Like he's just come down on some poor B1s who were just rogering along, doing their best.
So, I have found my answer to costuming questions in Star Wars, which come up more than you'd think around these parts. But the question is, does he wear gloves? And the truth, it turns out, is that he does in this particular outfit, because this is, he's wearing his forearm armor, like his bracers.
Clone bracers.
And so when he's wearing the bracers, that's when he has the fingerless gloves.
Nice.
And that is tracked to the animated series for Clone Wars. So that's the Mace Windu we're looking at today. Whereas the episode 2 version of Mace does not have the gloves.
Excellent.
There we go.
Josh sent me the skin tone reference for episode, I'm pretty sure it's episode 2. It looks like episode 2. Which is perfect, because I want to really capture that sort of height of, I think I want to capture the height of the Republic Mace here.
I will say that if folks are ever looking for costuming references or ideas for, which version of a character to pull from, going to cosplay forums where they've really picked out the differences between each scene and each film, and the animated series really helps you sort of pinpoint if you're trying to do something exact or make creative decisions that feel right.
Or wing it.
Or wing it. I mean, listen.
I'm all about winging it. I'm going to do a second layer. That skin. Josh, how's that look? I think that's a pretty good localized color there. Do you not tell which lightsaber is Mace Windu's? It's the purple one. It says Mace. Do you want me to be loud? I can be loud. Knuckle V Gaming coming in with solid facts. What color is the underrobes? That's the cream colored, right? Josh, send me a full. Oh yeah, it's under. Yeah, got it. Got it. I'm going to use the same local color on this robe as the outer robe. And we'll change that up to the proper usage of shadow. You can use the same local color and just change the shadow, and it will give you different effects. It'll make it feel like it's two different colors just by changing the shadows, by using contrast such as maybe one brown robe uses a blue and the other one uses more black or umber. Even though the base color or the local color, the color your eye perceives it to be, or specifically perceives the element to be, it will change it and make it feel different. Josh, I need a full body shot of this so I know what color his boots is. I mean, I can just make it up too. Oh, look at that. Oh, his pants is so creamy. Oh, his sleeves are the same color as the outer robe. Interesting. Interesting. I'm just going to get a little base coat on everything while the skin dries. We've gone over flesh tones quite a bit, but it's always good to go back and keep practicing and playing with new flesh tones. Dark brown boots, dark brown belt. We'll get to those in a little bit. Past 27,000. Hello. Kicker just finished Inquisitors. Looking forward to new releases. Awesome. Usually share your Inquisitors. All right, we're going to take the same local color, which was this nice warm brown. I put a little touch of this cool brown in there just to kind of make it a little creamier. And now we're going to take some of this brick red. We're going to mix that together. Because now we want to start warming up the skin. We want to start giving it some nice warm tone, which is where the life really shines through when you're painting human skin tones. I'm going to use a little bit of mixed medium to give it translucency. And I just want this in the shadows, the crevices, not to be confused with the grievances. I'm going to let that drag out just a little bit with that second brush. Look how grumpy he is.
He really does have a case of the Mondays.
He's got a bad case of the Mondays.
Hashtag Mace Mondays.
Mace Mondays. We're just going to do that around here now. Mace Mondays. Look, as I said, he was so grumpy, went and tried to arrest a duly elected senator. Like, Mace Windu, judge, jury, executioner here. What's the bets I get a phone call from Josh whenever the stream is over? How dare you slander my boy Mace Windu? See? This is very delicate, warm tone just to start shading. I don't need to go fast here. Around the eye, the temples, the sides of the head, the grumpily furrowed brow, the nose, bottom lip, underside of the jaw, cheekbones, ears, just a little more red. Going to do the same thing by taking our same two colors and mixing a little green in there now. Green and red make brown. Let's go ahead and mix a little touch of this dark burnt umber in there as well. Yes. Nice and thin. A little green in there helps the skin tone.
Now, I believe earlier you said you were going to talk about why green helps the skin tone. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So if you look at flesh, like if you look at pictures of people or even yourself, you can even see it probably in areas of my skin here. You can see green in there. I wish I could say it's from our ancient ancestors and the algae that resides within us, but that's not true. There's just a little bit of green in flesh tones. And you got to learn to isolate it with your eye to see it. It just adds that extra dimension and realism. Even when you're painting something that's not real, like a miniature, which is supposed to be hyper realistic. Miniatures are very exaggerated things. That little bit of green goes a long, long way into selling the realism. Also, like I said, when I'm doing shading and stuff, I do the first shade with red, second shade I mix in green, green and red make brown. Brown is a good color for a variety of human skin tones. It just helps with the painting and getting that look that we're all looking for, right? See how that just richens and darkens it all out? It's real subtle right now. Between the fingers here. We're just trying to build in our contrast. Now we can go straight down to the full burnt umber color. This will be the darkest color we use, maybe a touch of black. A lot of people put a touch of blue in there as well when you're doing darker skin tones. Blue is to help the contrast. You've already added warm tones, so now you got blue. Blue and red are contrast to each other. You don't want to look icy, of course. But by mixing a little tiny touch of blue, remember, when I say tiny touch, I do mean tiniest touch. Blue is a bully color, which means it bullies all the other colors out. It's real aggressive. It's one of the most powerful pigments, renowned throughout the ages for its intensity. So when I say a touch, I do mean the tiniest touch. A little blue just helps. I'm literally just putting this in the deepest parts. Inside the ear, that line in the neck. Maybe a little across that brow ridge because I want to accentuate that grumpy. Under the lip, above the chin is that nice line. Around the ears. Maybe put like a little crowfoot on the edge of the eye if you want, if you're feeling spicy. Then I like this color like right up against the other elements, sort of a dark line between the elements to separate them. It's going to be tricky to do all the way around his neck, so I'm not going to try to on stream. Go back to our base color and clean it up. Anywhere that my color that dark line got pushed a little too far out away from the shadow, further than I wanted it, I'm going to push it back. So maybe just there on the nostril flare. Across that chin, I feel like that line got a little out of control. Pick up those cheekbones. That brow got a little out of control too. Push it back, push it back. Josh, how's he looking? My paint is very thin. I'm just letting the paint just do what it wants to do, right on the tip of my brush. Frosty, 6:30 a.m. in Sydney. Hello. So early. Up and at 'em for some atomic mass painting.
So when it comes to painting flesh tones and then also managing that in concert with getting your eyes put into the sockets of the miniature, do you like to paint the eyes first? I mean, obviously you haven't done that this time around, but I'm just curious how you think about it.
So I know a lot of people are afraid to paint the eyes. I've so practiced, like I've done it a million times, like I don't worry about it. And that's just practice, and everybody just needs to practice, right? Like that's why we paint, is we practice. We learn by failing. You know, I've always told my kid, you never learn by winning. And you know, I have a lot of paint mistakes in my history, lots. And so, and every, like when you go online and you see like real famous painters doing like really beautiful, amazing paint jobs, all those people have things that they've messed up. And that's why we try to remind folk that you can't compare yourself to others, because you don't know where their journey, you don't know their journey. You don't know where they came from. You don't know how many B-sides before the first A-side, right? You know, think about your favorite band. How many songs do you think have they recorded that you've never heard because they didn't feel it was good enough for an album? Yet if you heard them, you might think it's the greatest thing ever. Or it just really is that bad, right? Or think about a band that's like released 2, 3, 4, 5 albums before they actually have a hit, right? Painting is the same thing. It's your journey. And I know I'm kind of all over the place on the topic there. But the reality is it's practice. So philosophically, there is something to be said, I guess, for painting the eye first. But I like the skin tone in the eye socket because it lets... Here's why. I've seen people do it, and like you have a higher chance. I'm not saying you will do this every time, but you have a higher chance of the eye looking artificial because now you're trying to paint around the eye instead of letting the eye be integrated into the flesh. So I like to paint the flesh. I like the eye cavity to have the full base shade inherent to it, so I can focus on those aspects, because the underbrow, the eyelid, the little wrinkle on the side of the eye, those are all very important aspects to the face. And then paint the eye in. And we've talked about painting eyes a million times. Hopefully we can paint the eye today. It's all about breathing. It's all about stability. It's all about proper, not calisthenics, what's the word? Ergonomics. proper ergonomics and breathing. I see a lot of people, I was holding my breath the whole time. Well, that's, if you've listened to us before, you know that that's the worst thing you can do, is hold your breath when you're painting an eye. You need to breathe. You need your body to relax. And what I like to do is I like to paint the eye black, and just the smallest little touch of black, just to fully integrate the eye. Look at that little wrinkle right there. It's yummy. And then you paint in an off-white. I see people use pure white for eyes. Pure white makes it feel like the man are gonna come with the white jacket for you. If you know what I'm saying. Hey buddy, why are you talking to the trees? It's like, well, I need to go away for a little bit, right?
The world is alive.
So
am I.
So am I. And I'm jazzed about it. So I like to get that. We like to integrate that eye really good. That's what I like to do. Little highlights. We're just doing very subtle highlights right now. Just building them up. Nice and patient. I'm not in a rush. You're not in a rush, are you? He's so grumpy. We're just gonna let that paint just do its job. Can you see that line now? Right there where that neck touches the jawline. Where you have that dark line. If you put a light line next to a dark line, yum. It's perfection. That's true contrast. We just let that paint do its job. It's just barely on the tip. It's nice and thin. This is like the main lesson of painting I can teach people is brush control is 90% of, like when we're judging painting competitions, right? It's like, what can I improve? And a lot of times it's just brush control. Letting that brush do its job. The brush wants to do its job. It really does. A little white in there. Maybe a little soft blue. Let's put a little soft blue in that. It's like a baby powder blue I got over here, mainly for the clone armor. I'm going to throw a little bit of that in there. It's nice and light. It's contrasty. Getting a little more artistic. Get rid of that hair, probably from my Band-Aid. I totally burnt myself cooking dinner the other night. It was terrible.
But was it worth it? What were you making?
I was making homemade chicken noodle soups. It was great. My partner made a stock out of old Parmesan cheese rinds, and then I put noodles and chicken in it. So it was like Parmesan cheese chicken. Look at your face. Are you like, yo?
Yeah, I had to lean over behind the computer monitor so you could get a sense of my passion for what you were saying.
Parmesan cheese, Parmesan cheese rinds. We keep all the Parmesan cheese rinds, and then we make stock out of it, which means herbs and broth, and you just boil it all day long, just turning those cheese rinds into broth. It's the right face. It's the right face. You know my favorite highlight? This one right here. Boop. When you have a bald head, you get like this like mean sheen going on that noggin.
Just like the bing, like right off the top of the dome.
Yeah.
So So this is something I know that you feel very passionately
Just
about.
a beacon on the nugget.
Oh.
Sorry?
No, you're good. Something that I know you feel very passionate about has been discussed at great length on our recent staff hobby challenge. And I'm curious if you want to share your feeling on why we believe it's so important for our team to get involved in the hobby aspects of our miniatures.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, right, you know, I hate saying gross words, but I'm going to say gross words. But, like, you know, we make quote, quote, product, right, that are they're hobby oriented. Like, the fundamental basic of a hobby miniatures game is the hobby miniature, right? It's you know, it's the basic start of everything. You have to build the miniature. You have to paint the miniature. So if you're choosing to participate in it, that's like fundamental. And I'm very much like, yeah, like, you know, I love expressing and showing that many of us here, that's what we do. And it's the joy of the painting and the hobby that brings us together to do this, you know, as staff members, as a community, just in general, the broader hobby miniatures community. These are very important to me.
Well, and it's not just the during the day, you know, this is what people on our team do for fun, just like all of you in our downtime. So being able to invest in that as a part of something we're doing as a team and not, you know, just in our hobby time is amazing, right? Like, I think all of us would agree that sometimes we pinch ourselves and go, this is pretty cool that we get to do to do a lot of this, but you know, it's something that we take seriously because we have to understand, you know, what everybody is going through in order to make things that are awesome.
Yeah, there's that too. It's definitely like this is just what I mean. I can't speak for everybody, but this is what I do. You know, work here or not, this is what I do. I paint miniatures. I build miniatures. I think about miniatures. I buy miniatures. I collect miniatures. And you know, when, you know, we just did that staff challenge, and it was definitely like, I was doing that anyways. Like, I was just gonna make a downed lat anyways. Like, that's just what I was gonna do on my Saturday. And so when I went to Anna's, I was like, should we just do a vlog and get several people? And Anna was like, yeah, I want to do that. That's just what we do. And it's very important to us to hobby and do the hobby. And, you know, like I said, this is just what I do. And, you know, as the community, right, you've chosen to be a part of the hobby, so we want to try to show all the different aspects and iterations and that you can do as well that you might not have thought of. And you know, we might not think of something, and that's awesome. Like, that's why we have the groups, and we like looking at that stuff. Like, someone doing a really sick paint job on Grievous, or cool conversion. I saw a cool conversion where they didn't use the rock. Yeah. And I was like, that's great. Like,
yeah, I saw that one too. I thought that was so cool, and it's gonna be awesome when they hit the table and theirs is like truly their own.
Yeah,
you know, that's
theirs.
Part of the fun of all of
that's
this.
The joy. Make it your own. You know, I always say, like, everything we make is a starting point. You know, we had to choose one pose. That doesn't mean it's the only pose. That doesn't mean it's the perfect pose. we chose one pose that we thought represented and captured the character, and we thought made a cool and interesting miniature. But there's a million poses that's cool. I mean, I'd be happy to make them all and, put them all on the store shelves. But like that's where you get to do it. You get to be creative and take it on. And
well, we've also seen a lot of people use the terrain in so many creative ways in the Shatterpoint group, because if you start looking at the different sides of things and how they fit, rather than just how you see it in the assembly instructions online, you really can start to think about different ways that all of these things can fit together and work with each other. And it's been so fun to watch people sort of figure out, the ultra buildings, or the way to have multiples on multiple levels. And I think that's been really fun.
Well, once again, everything is built and designed as a starting point. Those are just starting points. I can't show you every iteration on the box.
We only have limited space.
I have one box. Like, have you seen the size of that box? It's huge, but it's not that big. So, like, we have to choose something that's like a starting point, but that's up to you and your creativity and what you can dream of to really help tell that story on your table. It's just starting points. It's all just starting points. Make it your own. One of my favorite lines, don't dream it, be it. Get out there and make something cool.
And definitely share it with us, because we really like seeing it
I love
come
seeing
together
stuff
out there.
All right, big blend on the forehead. Just stretch that out. I think this flesh is about done. Josh, you want to grade me here, my dude? I think that's pretty solid. I'm going to let that rest for a minute. I'm going to put some cream on my palette and lay in the cream undertones for the his little shirt and pants. He's wearing cream pants. I love it.
You got to be brave to wear white pants.
White pants, like, unless you're on a speedboat in Miami hunting down drug dealers, then you can get away with white pants. Or your Mace Windu, apparently.
It's definitely a power move, because he doesn't intend to have to get dirty. It will never take that much effort for him. That's what that costume designer is telling us.
That is true. Like, this man will never get dirty.
Well, so many of them wear such similar things, right? But if you look at the way that they all wear, like, the outer tunic, the inner tunic, and the tabards, and then the obi and the belt. But if you look at the way that Qui-Gon Jinn doesn't care versus the way that Mace Windu has, like, even like little gold flecks in the linen of his outer tunic, it's like this is a guy who cares about being put together.
Psyker 911. I would love to watch an episode of Clone Wars where Mace is hunting down spice runners on a beach planet. Who is the Tubbs to his Crockett? Who is? All right, let's start shading this tunic. We started out with a very neutral brown. Want to add a little gray to that. Let's go gray first. A little black, a little white, a little brown. Make it gray. I don't want it to be too warm. Let's start shading this outer jacket. This is a very rough shade. Now of questions today. What is going on, y'all? Get in here. We're just cooling this off. For the deep shade will be warm. Teasers. Spoilers. Let's get a little more gray. More pure gray. More of a touch of brown in there. Just a touch. Yeah. Too busy painting my Django to type many questions. I love that Django miniature. Absolutely enjoyed painting that miniature too. Just a little gray. I like the gray in there on the robes. If you look at the Clone Wars, that gray is in there. Sort of pulls down the saturation and puts them a little more grounded, I think is the word I want to say. Love that his base has the sonic charge from the fire spray. Yeah, that was a fun little ad. We like adding like little fun stuff. There's all sorts of little tidbits in our stuff. We really love putting those little fun Easter eggs. I mean, ask Bexley how many times the universal gribble has been used across the Star Wars IP. It's a lot. The universal gribble. Arsentix painting Grievous right now. Are you doing anything interesting with your Grievous? I mean, painting it is interesting, but I just meant unique or different. Are you doing anything different with your Grievous? We're keeping Grievous pretty stock, the cream colored armor plates and such. I'm going to do a little back and forth style on this. Not normally how I paint, but that's okay. I like doing like texture lines. So sometimes I don't try to overly blend anything. Even though I'm a sucker for wonderful blends. Sometimes it's just fun to let the paint fall. Little squishes, lines and stuff. Just thinking about light, shadow. Color doesn't matter. Have I named the ARP troopers that come with me? I have not. I haven't done anything with those yet. They're primed. They're ready to go. I just painted Mace. I'm behind. Dark tone. Going over that gray tone. Every mini needs to be unique. As in every one of your minis? Sorry, when we're doing a unit of clones, there's going to be some doubles. So this is going to bring that robe back into line with the look. Do we have any questions about the skin tone process? Don't tell me I made it clear the first time. Come on. I'm sure we'll do flesh tones again. It's one of those lessons we can always go back to, right?
So I guess here's my question. What if you get to the end and you have fussed around with all the different layers of skin tone coloration and you're like, oh man, it's just wrong. It's just really wrong. Is there a way to, like, without just starting from the bottom up again, kind of make an adjustment through glazing or anything?
I think you can always make adjustments. I think it depends on, I think that is highly dependent on the what I would have to look at it to identify, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a silver bullet answer to every time somebody does something like that. But I do believe there's always an answer, and that answer might not always be clear. Mm-hmm. I typically paint so thin that I can just kind of backtrack and pull it down or pull it up. Messing up skin tones is real hard in my eyes because there's no wrong skin tone. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're trying to get screen accurate, first off, if you're trying to get screen accurate on miniature, like, that's just hard. Let me tell you. And because miniatures are hyper stylized just due to the scale. But there's always a way out of the pickle in my book, and it'll depend on the mess up. If I say, let's say I painted Mace too light, you can always darken it down. Or I got a little too much green. Mm-hmm. That's when I would put a little more red in there, right? A little red will counter that green, making it brown, making it more skin toned. So there's always a trick out of the situation.
And then how does the color theory that you talked about with the different layers and adding them in, you know, highlights and shadow as you showed with Mace, how does that translate to a more alien skin tone? The person I'm thinking of right now, because she's in the core set, is Ahsoka. But is the same thing true because it's still skin, but it's just tinted towards her sort of more orangey bent, or do you have thoughts?
Yeah, I think that depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If you're trying to make a realistic Ahsoka, she's going to have more green. Whereas like the cartoon Ahsoka, it's kind of there, but it does lean a little more blue because the blue-orange contrast in the animation. But it's definitely sort of the same thing, like taking in those colors, finding that local color, shading it properly, and then highlighting it properly. We've done a couple streams actually about different skin tones. Back in several years ago on Ministrav, there's some alien skin tones, and I do try to show like how, you know, all the different skin tones have this like rudimentary connection, and you can pull them all. You can use the same philosophies. So definitely something we can talk about and explore on another stream. But yeah, like I use a lot of the same philosophies over and over again. First off, Josh doesn't make me do anything. Let's just clear that right up. I'm doing this because I love Josh. And I think Josh was expecting me more to talk about the problems with the Jedi Order today, but I feel like I've been good. It's like Dooku was right, but then he became very wrong. I want a little more darkness on that. I want a little more darkness on Jedi robes. Let's put a little blue in there. Maybe a touch of black. Would we ever do a stream that's a community roundup? We've done community roundups in the past. You never know what the future holds. Little delicate blends. Little delicate blends. Don't gotta be perfect. Just delicate.
Josh, it sounds like you need to go watch Dallas's video on how to paint different lightsaber colors.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, we did purple lightsabers. Josh, why are you not watching my streams? Did a whole video about lightsabers. If you haven't seen it, it goes into a lot of tips on how we do the lightsabers philosophically in the studio, how to get like real punchy, like vibrant lightsabers, which I think is super important, and also just sort of a philosophy on the way lightsabers are shaped, and you know they're kind of impossible to reproduce in miniature because of the way light just works. But I feel like we've done a pretty good job of getting a decent effect. And so I shared that with everybody, and hopefully it was helpful. I know we've gotten a lot of comments about that one. We did what? Green, red, blue, yellow.
I'll find it and put it in the chat for
I
you.
can't remember what all colors we did, but purple was definitely on the list. Those lightsabers are just on my desk. We're just doing a shade on this cloth. I'm letting it be real artsy. We're doing artsy cloth today. Mace Windu's an artsy guy, right?
I mean, he lives in Coruscant, so it's, it's an urban city, which means there's probably a lot of artists there, right? Like,
Maybe.
don't they flock to urban centers?
Oh yeah, we did. Did we do a black lightsaber, like dark saber style? I can't even remember.
I believe we did.
We did a lot.
Yeah, there's like a cyan blue and a darker blue, yellow, red, purple, green, and dark sabery.
Did we do a white?
Oh, maybe, you know what? We did do a white. I'm just reading it as blue.
Yeah, I put a little bit of blue in the white sabers to help it read. So maybe.
Yeah, I think that lighter colored one is white.
I like doing the white sabers. They're really neat. Like on Padawan Ahsoka. Josh, what do you think? How's it look? I mean, he's trained in the art of doing whatever the heck he wants. I'm just gonna go arrest somebody. Who gave you permission to do that?
Dallas, that kind of lip is why you're not on the Jedi Council.
It's true. It's true. Who made you Judge Judy and Executioner? One more dark tone for the khaki pants. I don't know if that's a compliment or if you mean it as a compliment. Oh gosh, it's almost time, isn't it? We did a lot.
I was just about to say, both you and Schick really knocked out a lot of progress this week on your miniatures. It's pretty cool.
I've been painting a lot lately. I'm like all hocked up on practice.
Yeah, painting just begets more painting.
It's true. I've always said 10 minutes a night or 15 minutes a night will change your life. Like, just sit down and paint. Even if you don't want to, just sit down and just start laying in some color. Next thing you know, 2 hours will go by. You'll have miniature painted. It'll be great. I'm feeling pretty good. That's an hour. I feel like that's a pretty solid face. The robes are pretty far along. We just got the armor, which I've done the armor several times for streams. And the lightsaber we've done for streams. So hopefully maybe this weekend I'll be able to sit down and finish him up. Then I just got some clones and pawns. That'll be easy. They're just clones. They're easy to paint. If you want to know how to paint white, you should go back and check our streams on painting white armor, because we've done that a couple times. The secret's not using white paint. That's the best till the very, very end. Just one little kisses, little angel kisses. Just boop, boop, boop. Makes it wonderful. You're mainly using greens and blues and grays and stuff like that, but I'm sure we'll do that again, right? obviously, we'll do that again. We always like to go back and cover stuff multiple times because it's good for practice, it's good for knowledge. I'm talking a lot. I'm sorry. Are we done? Oh yeah, that part. It's right here. Every Tuesday and Wednesday, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can check us right here out on I like that. Right here out on Twitch. We do Atomic Mass Transmissions live. We paint miniatures. We hang out. We do fun stuff. Who knows what we'll do? It's sometimes it's wild randomness. Who knows what next week will bring?
Well, next week will bring Gen Con.
Next week will bring Gen Con. So, oh, I get to be Tuesday. I'm on Tuesday, not Wednesday next week.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fun fact.
Yeah.
Because we'll be at Gen Con. So check that out. Because you still never know what will happen.
Yeah. We did put out a communications roundup, though, which has a lot of answers about questions that people have been asking and things that you might want to check into next week. And mini strav coming down the pipeline. So make sure you've read that. I'll throw it in chat before we go off live.
The like all that stuff, latest news, information, announcements coming from Atomic Mass, including their weekly round or monthly roundup. Monthly round.
It's
not weekly.
There's not
it's not
an
really
exact
monthly.
cadence, but there are enough questions, so we answer them.
The collected roundup. You can check that out on Instagram and or Twitter. That's where we hang out and post stuff like that. So I think that's it. Until next time, until next week, we'll catch you later. Have fun. Go to Gen Con. We'll be there. Bye.